අද අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා මේ සමාධි මානං තරිකඤ්ඤ මාහූ කියන වචනය ගැන කතා කරා. මේ රතන සූත්‍රයේ ගාථාවක තියෙන්නේ යම් බුද්ධ සෙට්ටෝ පරිවන්නයි සුචින් සමාධි මානං තරිකඤ්ඤ මාහූ සමාධිනාතේන සමෝන විජ්ජති ඉදම්පි ධම්මේ රතනම් පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු කියන ගාථාවේ මේ සමාධි මානං තරිකඤ්ඤ මාහූ කියන එක තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. මොකද්ද මේ සමාධිය? කියන්නේ ආනන්තරික සමාධිය කියන වචනේ.
Maybe also the next part about not being equal because it's kind of connected. I can ask for that.
සමාධිනාතේන සමෝන විජ්ජති. Yes.
Why it's called like that?
Now commentary එක කියන්නේ මේ විදිහට. යනු okay.
So there somebody raised a question. It concerns this very famous jewels discourse, Ratana Sutta. So towards the beginning of the sutta, there is a couple of verses that talk about the quality of Dhamma, starting with Yam Buddha Setto Parivannai Suching Samadhi Anantarikanya Mahu. So this question is about this what is this? Samadhim Anantarikanya Mahu, which is kind of probably the only appearance of this name in the suttas or the scriptures we have. So what does it mean? And so it's translated as like immediate or like without interruption concentration and things like that. And the next line, the Buddha says there is no concentration equal to that in the world. So I ask if we can get also the explanation why the Buddha calls it like this concentration that has no equals.
Then අටුවාව කියන්නේ සමාධිමානං තරිකඤ්ඤ මාහූ යනු තමාගේ පැවැත්මට අනතුරුව ඒකාන්ත වශයෙන්ම ඵලය ගෙන දෙන හේයින් යමක් ආනන්තරීය සමාධියයි කීවාහුද මාර්ග සමාධිය උපන් කල්ලි එහි ඵලය නැති කරන කිසිම අනතුරක් නැත්තේමය. යම්සේ කියන ලද්දේද මේ පුද්ගලයාද සෝවාන් ඵලය අවබෝධ කර ගැනීමට පිළිපන්නේ වේද මේ කල්පයාගේ දැවෙන වේලාව වේද යම් තාක් මේ පුද්ගලයා සෝවාන් ඵලය අවබෝධ නොකරයිද ඒ තාක් කල්පේ නොදැවෙන්නේ මේ පුද්ගලයා හිත කප්පීයයි කියන ලැබේ. සියලුම මාර්ගස්ත පුද්ගලයෝ හිත කප්පීහු වෙති යන්නේ. ඒකද මේකේ පැහැදිලි කිරීමට ඕකේ.
So this is the old English translation, calling it concentration straight resulting, and which he called straight resulting concentrations. So since it produces its fruit quite certainly straight away next to its own occurrence, for when path concentration has arisen, there is no obstacle whatever that can prevent the arising of its fruit, according as it is said, and what is said is this, and where this person has already entered upon the way to realization of the fruit of stream entry, and were it the time for the eon to be consumed by fire, that's like end of universe basically, still the eon would not be consumed by the fire until that person had realized the fruit of stream entry. This type of person is called holder up of an eon, and all those possessed of a path are holders up of an eon.
ඔව් ඒකම තමයි මේ සිංහලෙනුත් කිව්වේ. ඉංග්‍රීසි එකම තමයි මේ සිංහලෙනුත් කිව්වේ. ඒතකොට දැන් මෙතන තියෙන හැටියට පැහැදිලි වෙන්නේ මාර්ගසිතේ යම් සමාධියක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒකට තමයි ආනන්තරික සමාධිය කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒ මොකද මාර්ග සමාධියට අනතුරුවම ඵලයටපත් වෙනවා. ඒක හින්දා මේ මාර්ග සමාධිය තමයි උතුම්ම සමාධිය කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා. ඒක ඊගාට සමාධිනාතේන සමෝන විජ්ජති කියලා ඊගා පදයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් ඊගාට කොහොමද දැන් අටුවාවට අනුව පැහැදිලි ආනන්තරික සමාධිය කියලා කියන්නේ මාර්ගසිතේ තියෙන සමාධිය.
So if we just put it in a kind of normal way of talking or something simplified version and more easy to understand, the concentration that is there at the moment of a path mind, that is what is this kind of anantarika samadhi. That means it can occur 4 times for one kind of person. That is the path mind of stream entry, path mind of one returnship, path mind of non-returnship, and path mind of arachip. Because when the path mind is happening, definitively there will come the fruition mind afterward.
එතකොට මේ
That's why it's
මේක
like
හැබැයි ඔය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි සමාධිය කියන අදහසක් අපිට තියෙන සමාධියට සමවැදිලා ඉන්නවා, සමාධියට සමවැදිලා දවස් ගණන් ඉන්නවා, දැන් නිරෝධ සමාපත්තියටම සමවැදිලා දවස් 7ක් ඉන්නවා වගේ ඒ වගේ අදහසකින් මේක තේරුම් ගන්න බෑ. ඇයි මේ මාර්ගසිත කියන එක එක චිත්තක්ෂණයක්. ඒතර එක චිත්තක්ෂණයක තියෙන සමාධියක් තමයි මෙතෙන්දී අදහස් කරන්නේ.
So now we cannot understand it in a normal way where normally when people talk about concentration, they think about somebody sitting in concentration. So like we know in this attainment of cessation and of feeling and perception, the yogi or the practitioner might be able to stay in that concentration for up to 7 days. So but we cannot understand this kind of concentration in that way, because this is a very specific kind of concentration that is there just for a one mind moment.
ඒ වගේ මෙතන මාර්ග සිත කියන එකෙන් 100%ක්ම ලෝකෝත්තර මාර්ග සිත තමයි අදහස් වෙන්නේ. ලෞකික මාර්ගය නෙවෙයි. ලෞකික මාර්ගය කැඩෙන්න පුළුවන්, හැදෙන්න පුළුවන්. ලෞකික මාර්ගයට නිවන අරමුණු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් මේ ලෝකෝත්තර මාර්ග සිතට නිවන අරමුණු වෙනවා. ඒ නිවන අරමුණු කරන මාර්ග සිතේ තියෙන සමාධිය තමයි මෙතන සමාධිමානන්තරිකඤ්ඤමාහෝ කියලා කියන්නේ.
Also, this is something, this is completely supramundane, because the path, sometimes the path concentration is considered as this like mixed up this kind of still in a way worldly concentration, but leading to the supramundane concentration. But this one is not of that way. This is just the completely purely supramundane concentration of the path moment itself, and it is that kind of concentration of the path moment itself that takes nibbana of the object, because the other kind of on the way leading to that, which are also sometimes called path, they still are worldly and they can change or be like disturbed, but this one is just the specific one of the completely supramundane path.
And they can't take nibbana as object.
So the others, they cannot take nibbana as object.
ඊට පස්සේ ඊගා වචන දැන් විනීත හාමුදුරුවෝ කිව්ව එක සමාධිනාතේන සමෝන විජ්ජති කියන එක ගැන අටුවාව කියනවා. යනු ඒ බුද්ධ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨයන් වහන්සේ විසින් වර්ණනා කරන ලද සුපිරිසිදු ආනන්තරික සමාධිය හා සමාන රූපාවචර සමාධියක් හෝ අරූපාවචර සමාධියක් හෝ විද්‍යමාන නොවේ. කුමක් හේින්ද ඒ සමාධීන් වැඩූ තැනැත්තේ ඒ බඹලෝ උපන්නේ නමුදු නැවත නිර්යාදීන් උපත ලැබිය හැකි බැවින් ද මේ ආර්ය සමාධියේ වැඩූ සිත් ඇති ආර්ය පුද්ගලයා සියලු උප්පත්තීන් මුලින්ම සිඳලු බැවින්ද වේ. එබැවින් සූත්‍රාන්තෙහිද මහණෙනි සංකත ධර්මයෝ යම් පමණ වෙද්ද ආර්ය අෂ්ටාංගික මාර්ගයේ ඔවුන් අතරින් අග්‍රයයි කියනු ලැබේ යනාදිය වදාරන ලදී. මෙසේ භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ ආනන්තරික සමාධියේ අනෙක් සමාධීන්ට වඩා ඇති අසමාන බව වදාරා දැන් පෙර අයුරින්ම මාර්ග ධර්ම රත්නෙහි අසමාන බව ඇසුරු කොට සත්‍ය වචනේ ඉදම්පි ධම්මේය යොදති. එහි අර්ථය පෙර කියන ලද ක්‍රමයටම දත යුතුය.
So this is the English. So no equal is there to such concentration, or samadhina tena samona vidyati. Here to such pureness praised by the enlightened one most high as the straight resulting concentration, no form sphere concentration or formless sphere concentration is there that is equal to all that. Why? Because even if someone is reborn somewhere or other in the world of high divinity, owing to the maintenance of these kinds of mundane concentration in being, that still implies his or her liability to be reborn, perhaps in the hells or somewhere. And because when this kind of person is ennobled by maintenance of Arahat's supramundane concentration in being, that implies the elimination of all rebirth. That is why it is said next in the sutta, bhikkhus, insofar as there are determined what is the saddhamma there?
සංකත ධර්මය යම් පමණ වෙද්ද
they call it here true ideals. So
සංකත means condition.
Conditioned phenomena. Okay. So this is a bit the wrong translation. So as far as there are conditioned phenomena, the noble eightfold path is accounted the foremost of them, and so on. When the Blessed One has thus stated how this straight resulting concentration is unequal by any other kind of concentration, how he so then anyway, that is the explanation of the rest of the stanza, that then when the Buddha says that this is the jewel of the Dhamma that has no highest one in the world or something.
මේකේ විශේෂ කාරණාවක් තියෙනවා. මේ ගාථාවේද අන කෙල ලක්ෂයක් සක්වල අමනුෂ්‍යයන් විසින් පිළිගන්නා ලදී. පොඩක්.
This one I didn't get. The last part you said, the important part I didn't understand.
Is it in the book?
No, I don't think so.
Even translation, it should be there because they have directly translated the commentary into English. It's a special statement.
So here it's in the way already stated, the Buddha invoked truth utterance, namely this is in the like Idampi Dhamma and so on, which has for its support the unequaledness of the path as the true as the Dhamma thing. This meaning should be understood in the way already stated, and the command in this stanza was also obeyed by non-human beings in 100,000 myriad world systems. This one, okay.
100,000 myriad world systems.
Yeah.
දැන් මේ රතන සූත්‍රයේ කෝටි ලක්ෂයක් සක්වලට අනපිහිටවලානේ දේශනා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කාරණා තමයි ඒ කිව්වේ. මේ හැම මේ ගාථාවල තියෙනවා අනපිහිටවීමක්. කෝටි ලක්ෂයක් සක්වල සත්වයන්ට දැනුවත් කරලා වගේ තමයි මේක දේශනා කළේ. ඒකයි ඒ කිව්වේ. ඒතකොට මේ ගාථාවත් බොහොම බලගත්ු ගාථාවක්.
So that's why Dhammarakita Hamudu said this. The commentary explains how because this what they call like statement of truth or assertion of truth as a kind of thing is in a way like a command or something somewhat like a command. So the commentary explains how this specific one what kind of influence it had on the beings of these other world systems.
එතකොට මේ ඔන්න දැන් ප්‍රශ්නෙට නම් උත්තරේ දුන්නා අපි.
Have you found the new translation that might be interesting?
Well, it's a little maybe more fluent, but no big differences apart from that. So
can we read it out once more in more fluent English?
Okay, I can try.
Okay, you can read.
So, having thus declared truth with reference to the excellent nature of the
No. Can you start with the Anantarika
Ah.
Samadhi? Yes.
Anantarika
Samadhimanantarikanyamaho.
So,
From there.
which they call concentration without interval. They call it concentration without interval because it necessarily yields its fruit immediately after its own occurrence. For when the concentration of the path has arisen, there is no obstacle that can prevent the arising of the fruit. As he says, this person may be practicing for realization of the fruit of stream entry, and it may be time for the eon to burn up, but the eon cannot burn up so long as this person has not realized the fruit of stream entry. This is called a person who persists through the eon. All those endowed with a path too are those who persist through the eon. The equal of that concentration does not exist. The equal of that concentration without interval, the purity praised by the Supreme Buddha, does not exist, whether it be form sphere concentration or formless sphere concentration. Why? Because by developing this, one arises here or there in the Brahma world, but one may again arise in hell or in other realms. But by developing this concentration of arahatship, the noble person reaches the destruction of all arising in future states of existence. Therefore, in the sutta it is said, whatever conditioned dhammas there are, because the noble eightfold path is declared foremost among them. Thus, having stated the other types of concentration are not equal to the concentration without interval, now with these words, this too is the sublime gem of the Dhamma. By this truth, the Blessed One makes a declaration of truth based on the uniqueness of the gem of the Path Dhamma, as stated earlier. Its meaning should be understood in the way explained above. The command issued by this verse too was accepted by the spirits in 100,000 kotis of world spheres. So that is
ඒක තමයි ඉතින් මේ ඒ ප්‍රශ්නයට හරිම උත්තරේ.
But
අපිට
it seems like from the second part, it was really referring to the Arahat part.
ඒ වගේ පෙනුමක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි මේකේ මෙහෙමක් තියෙනවා. ආර්ය සමාධිය වැඩි සිත්ති ආර්ය පුද්ගලයා සියලු උප්පත්තීන් මුලින්ම සිඳලූ බැවින් කියලා වචනයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට සියලු උප්පත්තීන් මුලින්ම සිඳලුවා නම් ඒ රහතුන් වහන්සේ වෙන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි ආර්ය පුද්ගලයා කියලායි මේකේ තියෙන්නේ, ඕකේ තියෙන්නේ අරහන්ත් කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ කලින් එකේ තියෙනවා මේ පුද්ගලයාද සෝවාන් ඵලය අවබෝධ කර ගැනීමට පිළිපන්නේ වේද? මේ කල්පයාගේ දැවෙන වෙලාවේද යම් තාක් මේ පුද්ගලයා සෝවාන් ඵලය අවබෝධ නොකරයිද ඒ තාක් කල්පේ නොදැවේ.
No, I was talking about the second part. So the second part is in Sinhala Arya, not Arahat.
No, Arya.
Okay.
That's why
So then it makes more sense. Okay.
I can relate it to even Sotapanna path, but again slight difficulty because it is said සියලු උප්පත්තීන් මුලින්ම සිඳලූ බැවින්. Then it must be Arahat.
Okay.
Yes. But under Samadhimanantarikanyamaho it is said මාර්ග සමාධිය උපන් කල්ලි එහි ඵලය නැති කරන කිසිම අනතුරක් නැත්තේය. So මාර්ග සමාධිය, මාර්ග means all four. Yes.
What is, in my opinion, quite big difference is that the translation I read to you, Bante, in the morning was samadhi without interruption, while in this case, Bhikkhu Bodhi translates it as samadhi without interval, meaning interval between the path and the fruit, which then changes the whole meaning. But there is one sentence here, if you allow me, I would like to read that Bhikkhu Bodhi put at the end. The tenet the tenet that the fruit immediately follows the path hinges on the Abhidhamma presentation of path and fruit as momentary occasions of experience occurring in a fixed sequence. This understanding is fundamental to the commentarial system based on the Abhidhamma, but it is not apparent in the Nikayas. That's how it is.
So this is the problem. The certain scholars always want something from Nikayas. That's the problem.
And certain scholars always want something from the Abhidhamma then.
Because to clarify this kind of subtle place, we need Abhidhamma. Otherwise, we can't clear out the situation. Now, all these commentarial explanations here we read from Abhidhamma point of view, not from Sutta point of view. So, according to Abhidhamma, here Anantarika Samadhi means Samadhi available in the supramundane path moment. If it is supramundane path moment, then only you can have interval-less fruition. So according to Sutta, you can't explain this kind of area.
Anyway, it kind of makes sense to me, because if it's the highest kind of concentration, it should be the kind of enlightening concentration. And this samadhi, the path moment, would normally you would consider as the enlightening. This is the enlightening moment, right?
Yes.
So the concentration at that point must be the like the best one, because that's the one that like enlightens one. So.
Yes. So Bhikkhu Bodhi has turned his mind somewhere which is hinders the final clarification. Final clarification is very simple, easy. That is, this particular Anantarika Samadhi means Samadhi available in the path moment or the path mind.
But I wouldn't say that Bhikkhu Bodhi said anything against it. He just said that he doesn't see that it's supported by Nikayas, which doesn't mean that he didn't say Abhidhamma wrongly explains. He just said this explanation is not supported by what can be found in the Nikayas, and in that sense it can mean so we need Abhidhamma to explain it.
No, actually, no need to say that it is not supported by Nikayas, because no need Nikayas support to understand this thing. Then one can say not supported by Vinaya even. Vinaya is another Pitaka, Sutta is another Pitaka, Abhidhamma is another Pitaka. So no need to say that it is not supported by the Nikaya. It is unnecessary sentence from my point of view.
People born in the Western world usually go by Nikayas rather than by
this is the
Abhidhamma and
problem.
Vinaya. So this is for them to explain to them why they are not finding it in the Nikaya, and they must go towards Abhidhamma, learn it to support this. So this is more trying to bring the worlds together, because they are not born in the traditional Buddhist world.
That's a wishful thinking.
So that he is trying to tell them you need to know Abhidhamma to understand this.
No, actually, if you understand Buddhism, you have to understand whole Buddhism, at least whole Theravada Buddhism. Whole Theravada Buddhism
They have
means
started to walking, so they are still taking first step.
Yes.
So for them, this is important.
so whole
No.
Theravada Buddhism means Sutta, Vinaya, Abhidhamma and commentaries. If you study all these things, then everything become very simple. But if you study only Sutta and from the point of view of Sutta try to understand things in the Buddhism, you have to face a lot of problems.
But what are we going to do, Bhante, when we very obviously appears that Nikayas are contradicting something that Abhidhamma say, that some of the monks who interpret it, they say that there are such cases. Then we should believe more Nikayas than Abhidhamma, I think.
No. There is no any contradiction, If I say there is a contradiction in between Vinaya and Sutta, uh, because certain things in Vinaya not mentioned at all in the Sutta. That situation, if you look as a contradiction, it is not correct, because things in Abhidhamma peculiar or pertaining only to Abhidhamma. Things in Sutta, it is only to Sutta. Things in Vinaya, certain things only to Vinaya. So if you don't study Vinaya, you never understand things in Vinaya. Same way, if you don't study Abhidhamma, you never understand things in Abhidhamma. So because of your not understanding of Abhidhamma, and if you try to explain everything using Nikayas, then you definitely face a lot of problems.
But you say you don't understand the things in Abhidhamma, but if I don't understand things in the suttas, then you are saying I should go to Abhidhamma in order to understand suttas. And
Some things, certain things, if you want to understand some areas of Sutta, you need to go to Abhidhamma. Because now here also, this is Samadhimanan Tarikanya Maho is a thing in word in a Sutta. But to understand properly, Sutta itself can't help. You want to go to the Abhidhamma definite. There are such things even in Vinaya. Now let's say Vinaya talk about Abbahana. But if you want to understand what is Abbahana, you definitely study Vinaya and Vinaya commentaries, not Sutta. Same way, there are some such certain things and subtle things. Without Abhidhamma, you never understand. Same way, without Vinaya, you never understand some aspects of Buddhism. And it is very clearly explained in commentary. Sutta is Vohara Desana. Vohara Desana means conventional talks. Abhidhamma is Paramatta Desana. That is kind of ultimate talks. Vinaya is Ana Desana. Ana means ordering, something like that. Ordering talks. So by these three kind of demarcations are there, it is necessary to understand properly Buddha's dispensation.
so can we understand the Dhamma actually then without suttas completely, just going to Abhidhamma?
No,
which
can't.
is just
Can't. You need all the suttas, Vinayas and Abhidhamma and the commentaries. You can't leave any part. If you want to be a real Buddhist, according to my understanding, you should study whole Tripitaka with commentaries.
That's a big word.
No, if you want to attain Nibbana, realizing Nibbana is not easy thing. So studying Tripitaka is easy thing.
It's a long road and you need everything.
Yes.
You need everything.
Yes, it's long road. This sansara is so long. Yes. Then now when we look at our tradition, our teachers and our forefathers, teachers, they have studied whole Tripitaka with commentaries. And if you look at the group of monks who translated Tripitaka into Sinhala, they have studied whole Tripitaka and commentaries. With that view or vision, they have translated Tripitaka into Sinhala.
Can I ask a question like then? What should we think about the whole tradition of so-called forest tradition of Thailand, where teachers are, they were actively, I actually spent 2 years in their monastery, so teacher would actively be discouraging people to study texts, saying that this will just take away your energy, just focus on practice. So and they claim, some of them claim arahatship. So without studying anything, they claim to be able to attain to arahatship.
I can say my personal ideas. So, according to my understanding, if you want to go to forest, first you have to complete your studies. Study of Tripitaka with commentaries, you have to done first. Then you are qualified to go to forest.
But then
Otherwise,
you are
you
so
can.
old, you cannot.
Otherwise, you can think different meditative experience as your attainment of arahanthood or sotapanhood. Lot of misunderstandings can happen with the attainment of different mental states, samadhis. So even in these meditation centers, people misunderstanding many how to say, many occasions they misunderstand their experiences. So one who is living in the forest without proper Dhamma knowledge can misunderstand their attainments. Their attainments means not supramundane attainments. Their attainments. So to have a reliable attainment, first you have to have enough knowledge. Even Venerable Sariputta said in Gulissani Sutta, before to go to forest, he must work with Abhidhamma. If a monk has not studied Abhidhamma, he should not go to forest.
Where does
This is in Gulissani Sutta.
Which collection of sutta?
Majjhima
Majjhima
Nikaya.
Nikaya.
Majjhima Nikaya.
So he's using the word Abhidhamma.
Yes, he is using the word Abhidhamma.
Okay.
Yes. So now the commentary said, under that word, commentary said, at least you have to study up to the Dhammahade Vibhanga. Dhammahade Vibhanga means last chapter of the Vibhanga Pakarana. So at least you should study Dhammasangani Pakarana and Vibhanga Pakarana to go to forest. This is the Theravada tradition. Just because you live in the forest, you don't realize supramundane realizations.
In short, he mentions the standard Theravada philosophy: Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativedana.
That's right. Yes.
So study, practice, penetrate.
Yes. Now, when we look at the history of Theravada, first 500 years, whole Tripitaka kept in the minds of the bhikkhus, and that is the era we had biggest number of arahants.
And I think, realistically speaking, all these people were not able to know the whole collections of the suttas, because then they would have to go from the Dhamma Sangha to Sangha and listen and memorize, which would take an enormous period of time. I mean, it's much easier for us, like today with all these books, than in their time to go and to learn from other bhikkhus, I think.
No, I think they had kind of proper way of doing that. Because of the stories I have read, 3 years is enough to memorize Tripitaka. The whole Tripitaka at that time.
With the smart people, right?
Yes.
People and mnemonic verses and all
Yeah,
of that.
actually, smart people in the sense, if you train well in the Vinaya, you don't do all other sort of things. You just have to live within the monastery under your teacher, and most of the occasion with his quarters, with him in his quarters, and you have to do all his activities, and you don't have any time to do any other thing other than associating teacher and learning. So if you live such a life with a teacher with full of the Vinaya, that is the ground or the facility to memorize whole Tripitaka. So at that time, there was such a good organization. That's why people could, bhikkhus could maintain whole Tripitaka 500 years. Otherwise, nowadays, have you met a monk who memorized at least 100 suttas?
I actually met a Burmese monk. I met a Burmese monk who memorized the whole Tipitaka.
This is because Burma still has that system, memorizing system. There is a memorizing system. If you are live within that system, you also can become one who memorize whole Tripitaka. Now we are out of that system. That's why we think, it is impractical how one can learn whole Tripitaka, and when after that how he meditate because he doesn't have any more time to live after learning. Because we are out of the system.
But very often they don't understand anything.
That is also
No, we
true.
can't say now Mahasi Sayadaw
No,
is
no, I
the-
don't say all of them, but some
Yes.
of them, like
Some.
Sarana told me, the Burmese monks, they had like lessons in English, and because they are skilled at memorizing, they memorize everything, but they don't understand the English, so they can like tell you one whole book in English, but they don't understand anything, and their mind works like web search. So when they get question, they just search into memory what is matching and try to answer by that.
Now olden days in Sri Lanka, first you have to finish your studies, then you have to go to a Kammattanacharya, meditation instructor, then you become Arhat quickly. That's the system established 2000 years ago. Now when you look at Sutta, this Kala Buddha Rakita story, Kala Buddha Rakita learned whole Tripitaka within 3 years. And once he returned to his monastery, his teacher not faced him and went away. Then he asked, why you not face to me? Then he said, although you learn books, you don't have any attainment. So you are kind of useless person. Then he went to the meditation instructor, another monk, and attained arahanthood. So even Buddha's time, Buddha said this Potila. Potila was one who memorized whole Tripitaka. And when he came to Buddha, Buddha says, empty Potila is coming, empty Potila is going. So, Tucca. Tucca is empty. So,
Vain.
vain.
Vain Potila.
Vain Potila is coming, vain Potila is going. So he became very unhappy and understood what the meaning of the Buddha's word, and he went to a meditation instructor and attained arahanthood. So this is the system established at those days. Now all these systems have gone. That's why we think how we can learn this much Dhamma and then we don't have enough time to meditate. All these problems come because we lost the tradition.
There is another sutta, no? When the mind is clear without lust, hate and delusion, even the unremembered things are remembered.
Yes.
And
Yes,
when mind
that's the
is
thing.
covered with all these things, remembered things are forgotten.
Yes.
There is a sutta on this one in Samyutta Nikaya, I think. Two Brahmins come and ask Lord Buddha, we can't remember things anymore. And so Lord Buddha tells them this.
Yes. Because of the 5 hindrances, even your memorized things, you forget.
Oh.
And if you can overcome the mind from 5 hindrances, even unknown things become clear. So those days, I think they have very good system of lifestyle which suppress your hindrances.
But I also think they had more organized system in the sense of they had the Bhanavaras, the sections,
Yes.
and Bhanakas. So not everybody needed to know everything.
No.
Because many people could not.
But
They remembered certain sections like the middle 50 discourses or the last 50 discourses or things like that.
yeah, according to what I've heard, those days there were kind of rules or traditions. If you get ordination under Diga Bhanaka, you are not allowed to learn other things until you finish Diga Nikaya. Like that, they have a good system to memorize these things, and they have different schools within the Theravada like Diga Bhanaka, Majjhima Bhanaka, Sanyutta Bhanaka, Jataka Bhanaka, etc. etc. So when you follow those traditions or rules, ultimately you become one who bears all Tripitaka. We have to understand the our lifestyle is not support us to memorize whole Tripitaka. but the lifestyle at that time supported the memorizing of Tripitaka.
The last one I think who remembered whole Tripitaka was Mingun Sayadaw in Burma, the entire Tripitaka.
Ah, yes.
The entire Tripitaka.
No, but still,
No,
there are
they still-
That's still
Yeah.
Still there.
Still
Even
there.
I have met one. He was 42 years at that time when I met him. He finished whole Tripitaka memorizing.
It was funny. One young monk used to argue very often, and these Burmese monks asked him, "Do you know Tripitaka by heart? No. Do you know one Pitaka? No. Do you know one Nikaya by heart? No. Have you read one Nikaya? No. So no discussion."
Yes.
But that was really nice because they didn't reject him immediately, but they by this one.
qualification.
Yeah.
Find out the qualifications.
Yes. So it is good at least to read whole Tripitaka. It is good at least to read whole the commentaries, not memorizing. Just read. Just reading even itself adjusts your view or the vision very much. Now I have not read whole, not memorized, but I have read almost whole Tripitaka and many of the commentaries. So according to that, my vision also changed. Yes. And other thing is, once you read whole Tripitaka, you are in a kind of very safe situation because there are a lot of other schools, other religions, other philosophies, and many other diverted paths. You can protect yourself from falling onto or into those paths. But if you read or if you associate only Sutta Pitaka, it is very easy you to fall into any other unnecessary path. At least if you are within the Vinaya Pitaka properly, then you are very safe. Because Vinaya Pitaka and Vinaya commentary well define what is Dhamma. As a rule, now as example, there are Vinaya rules. Now say, let's say, Yopana Bhikkhu Chappancha Yopana Bhikkhu no Matugamasa Chappancha Vachai Dhamman Deseyi Anyatra Vinyuna Purusa Viggahena Pachityan. There is an offense. Monks should not teach Dhamma to a woman without a man close by. So Vinaya Pitaka says Dhamma here means Buddha Bhasito, Savaka Bhasito, Isi Bhasito, Deva Bhasito, Attupasangito, Dhammopasangito. Then the commentary explains what is this Buddha Bhasito, what is this Savaka Bhasito, what is this Isi Bhasito, etc. So if you understand that area, then you find that here Dhamma means Dhamma in Pali as well as Dhamma means Sutta, Vinaya, Abhidhamma and commentaries. So it is within the Vinaya Pitaka. This explanation is within the Vinaya Pitaka and Vinaya comment. So you know your frame. You have very well established frame. Then definitely you have to study whole Tripitaka with commentaries.
Doesn't it also, this one especially a bit of a problem?
How?
No, because now in those days Pali was normal language. But now, unless you learn Pali, nobody understands that. So, like if it says it's the Buddha's words in Pali, then if you explain the same things in Czech or English, you can say whatever you like because it's not Pali.
Yes.
But in those days, it was like English or Czech because it was their normal language.
Yes, but according to Vinaya, if you talk in Pali, then only offense comes. Otherwise, not. And if a woman question about something, then you can talk as much as you like. But always, Pali is the language considered under Vinaya, not any other language. Any other language is not how to say official language in Theravada Buddhism. Now, if you get high ordination from any other language, that high ordination is not valid. You should get high ordination in Pali language. Even ordination, Samanera ordination. Samanera ordination also should done in Pali language.
This is very. We should not say this, because if you put this on the internet, this can create trouble.
Yes, but
No,
this
but
is the truth, no?
this is
Why
the
we
truth.
should hide the truth?
Okay.
No, this is the truth. But
Yes.
my question is, for lay people, Vinaya
means
is not
that-
applicable, so they don't have to learn Vinaya.
No, no, no.
They have to learn Sutta and Abhidhamma.
No.
Because Vinaya is not applicable to lay people.
Vinaya is not applicable to lay people, that's
Lay
true.
people should come to monks and ask
That's
them.
right. Lay people should come to monks, and from monks they should learn Sutta and Abhidhamma even.
In the olden times, but now translations are available,
Yes.
anybody can buy.
Anybody
So
can
they
buy.
should at least study 2 Pitakas, not 3, but 2
No.
necessary.
No, I think still they should come to monks and ask the monks.
Most people don't even
Yeah, but
have
that's-
time or inclination.
Yeah, but that's
Nearest
why the
monastery
tradition is going
100
to disappear.
kilometers away. How can they go?
No, that's why the tradition is going to disappear exactly.
Yes,
No, but I think also important to take Dhamma to people who don't have access to Dhamma. This is one of the reasons.
that is the duty of the monks.
Correct.
So monks should explain Dhamma and Vinaya and Sutta, Sutta and Abhidhamma to monks. Sorry, wrong.
To lay people.
Lay people, yes.
Yes, correct. And that's why people write translations. Bhikkhu Bodhi writes translations as a monk to explain to lay people.
Yes. But when monk is translating, he should well establish in Vinaya.
Yes, yes.
If Bhikkhu, if he is well established in Vinaya, these translation should not go beyond commentary. He has gone beyond commentary because he is not well established in Vinaya.
If you say this, that means even worse.
No, it's not worse. It's
It
much
is worse than the
Pali-
Pali language.
The ordination
Saying
in
the Pali
Pali and
language.
languages,
Now
because
we-
that means Dalai Lama is not a monk.
That means
Well, actually, by
nobody.
Theravada standards,
Yeah.
Mahayana and
Yes.
Vajrayana are moved. So,
No,
I mean,
no,
I don't make any judgment on that. What I'm saying is, according to that, it's
Dalai Lama is the president of the country. So how, according to
A ruler,
Theravada, the
yeah.
president become a monk?
a ruler, yes.
Yes.
Or Zen priests are married, for example, because king ordered them in Japan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are many issues there, but I'm not going there to judge. But what I'm simply saying is, for lay people, Vinaya is not practicable, and
No,
it's not applicable sometimes also for
Yes,
them to know
no,
these
that's true.
nitty-gritties.
No, it is completely correct. Not applicable. That's true. And if a monk translating something for lay people, he should well establish in
Correct,
Vinaya,
that is correct.
and within
That
the
I-
Vinaya frame, he should do his translation.
Correct, that I agree, that is not an issue. But what I meant was, books are available now, and people can buy anything and do anything now. And that's a big issue.
Yes, this big issue. Yes, but
That's why we should encourage people to go and somehow get into contact with monks or nuns or whatnot, so and learn from them, because
Actually, there are more nunneries now in America, I think, than monasteries sometimes.
anyway, we are in a very complicated religious or sasana situation. Not easy to solve all these problems, but your personal problems can be solved. National and international religious problems we can't address, we can't touch, but our personal problems we can solve.
Can I ask one thing? But I don't know if you have enough experience. Because from what I saw here, it seems to me that people that come and don't know too much of the sutta probably, but they really come and ask the monk and try to practice and little by little learn. It seems to me they are building up much stable background and they stick to the practice. Whereas there were some other people that knew the books and they came once and amazing, and then after that you never hear of
See
them,
them.
and then next time you hear they are doing I don't know what not. So So even from, it seems to me that really the best one is to support people to get into touch with the monks and really learn from them.
Yes, if you continuously practice your meditation practice, and I think one day you will understand who is the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha correctly, properly. Once you understand Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha properly with the help of monks and books and everything, you probably come to the conclusion that Dhamma means Tripitaka and commentaries and the knowledge handed down by the Arahants.
And also, I think many people just come to get seeds. They don't have any Dhamma. So they come to get the sprinkling of Dhamma, which will fruit, flower in some other life, not necessarily right away. So they come, they get some seeds planted, and they go away. And then next life, maybe those things will flower. They will be born in a fortunate situation where they learn these things from beginning.
Yes, when we look at that way, then at least Sutta Pitaka is enough you to go certain distance.
And that's what I meant. To lead people to good path,
Yes.
you need to start disseminating information.
But in order to attain Arahanthood, supramundane Arahanthood, you need all Tripitaka with commentaries.
Yes. So my path, mine was different issue of getting people onto the path.
Okay.
That's important. No
Today,
first thing
now,
first.
let's conclude our discussion and Teruvan Saranai.
That's right.